Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Bhagavan ki jai. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nashta Prayashu Bhatteshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nayashtaki. Hare Krishna. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, text 1, chapter 1, text 3. Rajavacha Kutra Kshatur Bhagavata Maitrayena Sasangama Kadava Saha Samvada Etadvarnayana Prabhu Rajavacha Kutra Kshatur Bhagavata Maitrayena Sasangama Kadava Saha Samvada Etad Varnayana Prabhu. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Bhagavan ki jai. Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai. Rajavacha Kutra Kshatur Bhagavata Maitrayena Sasangama Kadava Saha Sangvada Etad Varnayana Prabhu. Prabhuji's, please. Rajavacha Kutra Kshatur Bhagavata Maitrayena Sasangama Kadava Sasangvada Etad Varnayana Prabhu. Rajavacha Kutra Kshatur Bhagavata Maitrayena Sasangama Kadava Sasangvada Etad Varnayana Prabhu. Rajavacha Kutra Kshatur Bhagavata Maitrayena Sasangama Kadava Sasamvada Etad Varnayana Prabhu. Mataji. Rajavacha Kutra Shatur Bhagavata Maitreyena Sangama Kadava Sahasambhada Etad Varnayana Prabhu Rajavacha Kutra Kshatur Bhagavata Maitreyena Sangama Kadava Sahasambhada Etad Varnayana Prabhu Rajovacha Kutra Kshatur Bhagavata Maitreyena Sangama Kadava Sahasambhada Etad Varnayana Prabhu. What word? Rajavacha. The king said, Kutra, wherein, Kshattu, with Vidura, Bhagavata, and with his grace, Maitreyena, with Maitreya, Asa, there was, Sangama, meeting, Kada, when, Va, also, Saha, with, Sangvada, discussion, Etat, this, Varnaya, describe, Nah, unto me, Prabhu, O my Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The king asked Shukadev Goswami, where and when did the meeting and discussion take place between Saint Vidur and His Grace Maitreya Muni? Kindly oblige, my Lord, and describe this to us. You can repeat after. The king asked Shukadev Goswami, where and when did the meeting and discussion take place between Saint Vidur and His Grace Maitreya Muni? Kindly oblige, my Lord, and describe this to us. Purport. Exactly as Shaunaka Rishi inquired of Suta Goswami, and Suta Goswami replied, so Srila Shukadev Goswami replied to King Parikshit's inquiries. The king was very anxious to understand the meaningful discussion that took place between the two great souls. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Behevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, as mentioned, we're reading from this verse, text number 3, chapter 1 of Canto 3. And where have we come from? How did we get here? And where are we going to? Bhagavatam is a big conversation of conversations of conversations of conversations, sometimes 7 layers of conversations even. So actually, Maharaj Parikshit, he is interested throughout his life in finding Krishna. That's why his name is Parikshit. He's always searching. So when you're trying to find Krishna, the best way to go and find him is through those who know him. So Maharaj Parikshit is asking Shukadev Goswami about Saint Vidur and Maitreya Muni. These are 2 great souls. And when 2 great souls come together, they're going to talk about transcendental subject matter. They're going to speak about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these talks fill Bhagavatam. These kind of speeches and discussions between 2 great souls fill Bhagavatam. And that is why Maharaj Parikshit is interested in this. And simultaneously, the sages of Naimisharanya are interested also in transcendental subject matters. They've just heard Sutta Goswami speak about creation, maintenance and destruction, modes of material nature. They want more rasa. They want more juice. They want to feel like they're actually doing something meaningful, as said in the purport. The king is very anxious to hear, to understand the meaningful discussion. So what makes something meaningful? When 2 great souls come together, they're going to have a meaningful conversation. When 2 people on the street come together, we don't know what they're going to talk about. So now, Saint Vidura has been an instrument in their desires to be fulfilled. Now, Saint Vidura, as we know the history, he was insulted by Duryodhan in Hastinapur, and due to that he was disgusted and he left Hastinapur. And he decided now is a good time to go to pilgrimage. So Vidura and Balaram also left to go to pilgrimage. So Vidura is on pilgrimage and Balaram, Sri Balaram is also on pilgrimage. And Vidura arrives at Yamuna, as we're reading. I've just come back to the manor, so I haven't caught up with so much of the Bhagavatam. So I was doing a little research, what happened so far. And I'm very, very happy that I'm back here also. very, yeah, growing up here and still being here to see the deities, see the devotees. I also ask humbly for the blessings of all the Vaishnavas to be a transparent medium in the parampara. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, service. So Vidura is meeting, first he meets Uddhav on the banks of Yamuna. Not first, but he reaches Yamuna and he meets Uddhav. Uddhav is Krishna's cousin, his minister, his advisor, his friend. Uddhav is a great, great personality. And Vidura takes advantage of that. He says, please talk about Krishna Katha. So Uddhav's, he basically summarizes all Krishna Katha in his discussion with Saint Vidura, and it's the most sweetest thing to read, I feel. And then, actually, after Kurukshetra, the Yadus have to leave. The Yadus start fighting with each other. Krishna arranges for the Yadus to leave. And he also tells Uddhav to leave before Kali Yuga really starts, before the mayhem kicks in. So Uddhava is instructed to leave, but Uddhav is very attached to Krishna. So he says, no, I'll stay with you. So then Krishna takes the opportunity to advise Uddhav, and at that time Maitreya Rishi comes. And so Vidur is asking Uddhav, what did Krishna tell you and Maitreya Muni? I think that's Uddhav Gita. What did Krishna instruct you at that time? I want to know. Uddhav is obviously feeling very humbled and shy, and he says that I'm not qualified to speak. Please go to Maitreya Muni. So then Vidur, after a few days, reaches Ganga, and he meets Maitreya Muni, and he starts to ask him the same questions. Now he wants to know about Krishna. So the topics that are spoken from here, from Canto 3, all the way till the end of Canto 4, are Maitreya Muni and Vidur's discussion. Huge, one of the biggest discussions in Bhagavatam. And they talk about Dhruv Maharaj, Prithu Maharaj, they talk about Kapil's teachings, Varahadev's story, and the lessons to learn from that story. And we can see, actually, as we were mentioning, the Bhagavatam is full of conversations. The Bhagavatam is full of two people, two great souls coming together. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions, it's quite an unusual line if you read it at first. Srila Prabhupada says, exactly as Shaunaka Rishi inquired of Sutta Goswami, and Sutta Goswami replied, so Srila Sukadev Goswami replied to King Parikshit's inquiries. So I was thinking that doesn't make sense. It would be a better way to say, exactly as King Parikshit Maharaj is inquiring from Shukadev and Shukadev is replying, so Shaunaka Rishi is inquiring from Sutta Goswami and Sutta Goswami is replying. So I had this little confusion when I was reading this. But then I broke it down a little more, and I understood the emphasis is not about inquiring, actually, it's about replying. So exactly as Shaunaka Rishi inquired of Sutta Goswami and Sutta Goswami replied, so that's the emphasis. So Shukadev Goswami replied. So the actual emphasis is on hearing what you've heard and repeating as you've heard, as far as my understanding goes here. So Srila Sukadev Goswami replied to King Parikshit's inquiries. So basically, Sutta Goswami is trying to repeat Bhagavatam from memory. And we can see here that exactly, the word exactly is used here. That means the conversation between Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadev Goswami is very similar to the conversation between Sutta Goswami and Shaunaka Rishi. So this is a fun fact. Many spiritual conversations, if not all spiritual conversations, are very similar. They hold a similar subject matter. For example, the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita are always involved in spiritual discussions. They always hold Ishvar, Kal, Karma, Prakriti, and Jiva. That's the basic preliminary study of Bhagavad Gita, the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita. But Srimad Bhagavatam, when you enter Srimad Bhagavatam, then it expands to 10 topics. And that's quite a fun fact, because if you understand just these 10 topics, you've understood Bhagavad Gita, you've understood the essence of Vedas also. I have a little challenge for anyone who wants to do it. It's a very nice verse. You can click on Google and try and find 12, 13, 15, Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all the Vedas. And this verse, 12, 13, 15, it tells that at the end of the Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva says, this is the essence of all the Vedas. So this will help us in our faith when reading Srimad Bhagavatam, 12, 13, 15. So the first topic is Sarga, 24 elements, basically the external creation, how Krishna manifests from Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu to Garbhodakshaya Vishnu to Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Then Visarga. So now the prison house is made for the prisoners. Now what does the prison look like inside? Brahma figures that out. What is it? He induces the modes. He creates the modes and he splits them up as three modes here. And if you multiply 3 by 3 by 3 by 3, you get a huge variety of activities, of colors that you get in the prison. So the prison house is actually very colorful. Then we have Sthanam. Sthanam means that actually Krishna has now given the maintenance, planetary systems, and he's given the Vedas. He says that the Vedas are a desire tree. You can go to any planet you want, you can become an animal, you can become Indra, anything you want, you can have it. And then Poshanam. So now we have the prison, we have inside the prison, now the prisoners can go and do what they want, they can do sinful activity or try and be controllers. Now, the prisoners also have to be maintained. So Krishna protects the body. Krishna protects, he's the digestion. Aham Vishvanaro, he says in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna enters as Vishwarup and he protects. And he also protects our spiritual life. Apichet sudarachara bhajate mamananyabhak sadadeva samantavya. Even a little bit of Krishna consciousness, spiritual practice, Krishna will protect that. Name bhakte pranashati, he says, Kante pratijanihi. Then Uttaya. Now we have protection, the prisoners are there. Now what happens is their desires keep expanding and expanding and expanding. I want to do this, I want to be this, I want to have this. And so the universe also expands. Planets are created. As we have desires, planets are created for us. The universe is keep on expanding. Different varieties are there just to maintain our desires. Then Manvantar, Manus, the different Manus. Then Ishanu Kata. Ishanu Kata means every millennium. Yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanama dharmasya tadatmanam sajamyaham. Krishna comes. Kshirodakshaya arranges incarnations to come. And Ishanu Kata is the description of those incarnations. Then Nirodha. So now we have the prison, we have our desires, we're doing whatever we want to control, we want to be the maintainers, best friends in society, philanthropists. And then the king actually sometimes comes to the prison. And so Ishanu Kata is basically about the king's different activities inside the prison. Then Nirodha, the prison house has to be cleaned up. Lord Shiva comes with his bulldozer and knocks it down. The karma comes together and then a new prison is made. So it's clean, it's tidy, repainted, everything is done. And then Mukti. So the purpose of the prison is, what do they call a prison in America? Reformatory, a correctional center. So the prison is meant for us to one day leave. And the prison is made in such a way to give suffering. Dukhalaya mashashvatam. It's there to remind us, you're going to die. You're going to have old age. You're going to have disease. You're going to go through things you don't want in your life. Therefore, you do not belong here in this prison. Leave one day. That's called mukti. And when you're out of the prison, what will you do? Ashraya. So the last is ashraya. Once you've understood all these 9 topics of Bhagavatam, then you can start making a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is a person. When we are chanting Hare Krishna, we're talking to Krishna, with Krishna. And it's like being on a WhatsApp call with God. What would we say? What would he say? What would he like us to do? If you're talking to him for 2 hours every day, what's the goal of that conversation? What's the realizations that will come after 2 hours? Or if you just do 10 minutes? Quality of conversation is very important, but the quantity of conversation is also quality in itself. So you can chant 1 round, you can get a nice 10-minute conversation with God. You can chant 16, And Krishna can really give whatever he needs to give you. So when we're chanting, it's really nice to feel that Krishna's presence is there. So the point of this purport, as I understood, is exactly as we hear, we should speak. So Sutta Goswami is replying, he's keeping the Bhagavatam chaste. As he's heard from Shukadev Goswami, Sutta Goswami is replying. He's keeping Shonaka Muni, Shonaka Rishi in the, you could say, the right track of Bhagavatam, the right track of the 10 topics of Bhagavatam. And he even speaks on things that Sutta Goswami, Shonaka Rishi doesn't even ask. Sutta Goswami speaks on unasked topics, unasked questions, just to keep the information, as he heard, pure. That's what you call a good postman. A postman just delivers what he's been told to. He doesn't think about, let me open the package, let me see if there's something cool there, let me take a little bit, and then let me give the package to the door, to the person. That's called ulterior motives, and that's why Imam vivashvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivashvan manave praha manur ikshvakave bravad. Krishna has given an imperishable science to the sun god. They're usually given this science because they're leaders of society. They have to maintain the society. So if the leaders know Bhagavad Gita, we can see what's happening already. When leaders are, better leaders in the world are there, the citizens' lives are more fruitful, nourishing. There's opulence, there's victory. Yatra yogeshwara Krishna, yatra partha dhanurdaraha. So where the leaders are Krishna conscious, the whole world is very happy, fulfilled. The heart is satisfied. So the way that this system was working, exactly as Manu heard, Vivashvan heard from Krishna, from Lord Vishnu, Vivashvan told Manu. And exactly as Manu heard from Vivashvan, Manu told Ikshvaku. And Ikshvaku is in the line of Raghu dynasty. So then this is how it came. And for 430,400,000 years, that Gita that Krishna spoke to, the sun god, remained. But 5,000 years Krishna detected, this is gone. This disciplic succession has been broken. So it lasted so long because they just repeated. But Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the purport that this new system of Bhagavad Gita, this Bhakti Yoga, this science of Krishna consciousness now has to be re-given because it was not exactly told in the last parampara. And then the disciplic succession broke. So it's important, even Srila Prabhupada says, utility is the principle, books are the basis, preaching is the essence, purity is the force. Purity means keeping something exactly as you've heard it. Not changing, not adding, not subtracting anything. And giving the same thing that your spiritual master gave you, what Srila Prabhupada gave you, you give the same thing according to audience. But you give the same principles. Details may change, but the same principles should stay the same. But we can see in Christianity, principles changed and details became emphasized. We'll get onto that a little later. But we have to become transparent via mediums. Transparent via medium means that whatever I have heard, I will tell you, without any addition or subtraction. So in our Krishna consciousness, when we're preaching, we have to link ourselves to the parampara. Actually, parampara is, there's so many acharyas in our line, so many gurus, and the more lenses you have in your microscope, the more refined you can see. So if we connect to our teachers, if we connect to our gurus, if we connect to the transparent via medium of parampara, we can see Krishna face to face. That's if we really connect through everyone. We see through the whole parampara. Then that huge telescope will show where Krishna is, what he's doing. But that means we have to be very connected to that parampara. In order to preach, in order to tell what you've heard, you have to shudder. You have to keep away your own opinions sometime. Opinions are there. Are we allowed to have opinions in Krishna consciousness? Who says yes? Yeah. Some in the beginning, when you're starting Krishna consciousness, you could be fanatical and say, no, I'm not even allowed an opinion. That's good. Fanaticism in the beginning is okay, because you're really understanding the purpose, the point. But as we go forward, we understand opinion makes us individuals. Opinions help us to serve Krishna better. So opinions are there, but when it comes to Shastra, opinions cannot be there. If two devotees are discussing Shastra and there's two extreme opinions, something's going wrong on, why Krishna appears. Everything is actually apchinta beda beda tattva. Everything is very simultaneously one and non-different. This is called the Sankirtan movement. Everything is together. Everything comes together. That means even children can preach on the streets. Children do book distribution nowadays. Prabhu, you can... So actually, what gives the qualification for children to preach? What gives the qualification for an unqualified person to sit and give class? We have to just repeat what we heard. We have to just repeat. What gives them the opportunity? What gives the right? There's a little kid, he's telling me to read Bhagavad Gita or telling me Krishna is God. Actually, whatever he's saying, if he's heard it and simply repeating, the same essence, the same purity will flow. So it's not like we have to be big scholars to go out and do book distribution. Actually, I was in the Winter Marathon, I got the opportunity to do book distribution with His Grace Antaranga Prabhu, His Grace Marahari Prabhu, a few others, Vishal Prabhu. And I don't know, maybe Vishal Prabhu was there? Yeah, Vishal Prabhu was there. He was there, right? And yes, and then also a few other devotees, Nitya Shekhar Prabhu. And we had a great time. I had never had an opportunity to go on book distribution, traveling book distribution like that before, or winter marathon, a marathon, my first marathon. And I was asked by His Holiness Swami Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj, Rasaraj, let's make a team. And I was like, what does this mean? Shri Radha Gokulananda Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman ki jai, Shri Gauranitai ki jai. So Maharaj asked me, can we become a team? Let's give it a name. Because I don't want to reveal my score. So if we work as a team, then that means normally when you're on book distribution, you give your personal score. But Maharaj, he was doing something different that year. He wanted to team up with me, and we called ourselves the B team. He said it's a humble name. And it also means brahmachari team. So I was thinking, okay, this is a great opportunity to actually be connected to Maharaj, see him and serve him in whatever way he feels that's appropriate. So that means I had an opportunity to watch him do book distribution. And I never seen him do book distribution. And I was watching him fly. I was watching him use his arms like a Mahapurush, huge arms, holding the Bhagavad Gita in the sky, bringing so much enthusiasm to the streets, being completely ignorant of any negative vibes people give him. And I was thinking, he's a dancer. He's actually dancing on the streets. It's a dance. Every word is a song. Every step is a dance. He made it feel like it's a festival on the streets. People were just grabbed from nowhere and just this big, tall personality, and he's so happy, he's so friendly. And I was trying some old tactics, on the streets. I learned some cool slogans, cool sayings. Hey, you like yoga and spirituality? And I wasn't getting anywhere with But then I saw an opportunity, because Maharaj was there, and Krishna gave me the team where Maharaj is also there. I took the opportunity to stare at Maharaj for 2 hours without doing one book. And in my left hand, I had my phone, and I was writing exactly what he said. Every point. So there was Maharaj, and he used to talk to someone, and I used to stand behind them, because obviously it would be too awkward if I stood in front of them and took notes. I used to stand behind them, so Maharaj's voice directly is approaching me, and I used to write everything. Maharaj was looking at me sometimes. After 1 hour, he gave me a look. He's like, "You okay there?" I was like, yeah, I'm really good. After 2 hours, after 2 hours, he said, "You better make up for this now." He knew what I was doing. And I used exactly what I heard. I repeated it with the same vibrations, with the same mood, with the same behavior, with the same arm gestures. I was in ecstasy. And I was allowing His mercy to flow through me, His mood to flow through me, His words to flow through me. And people were catching on to it. And I was like, whoa, this thing works. Yeah. And I kept those notes, I refined those notes. And then Smara Hariprabhu was like, this guy will come out of nowhere. Antaranga was like, whoa, this Rasaraj was come out of nowhere. And even Swami Bhagavan Kesha Maharaj, he said from the beginning till the end, it was like, whew, I started doing more books, more books, more books. That is the way we should learn. That's the way we should do books. That's the way we should preach. Exactly as we heard, we should give. Now, it's sometimes very difficult. What do I say to people? But if you have someone like face-to-face, like Swami Bhagavan Kesha Maharaj, doing books in front of you, and you have an opportunity with fast hands, fast fingers, everyone's got fast fingers these days, you can write exactly as you've heard, and you can give the essence. It's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. It's about how you present yourself. So not only did I collect his words, I collected his mood. That mood was the factor that changed the game. His words were cool. You know, I can give anyone who wants it, I can give it to them also. His words were cool, but his mood was the real trigger. So when we, even in Krishna consciousness, when we're giving, when we're preaching, it's important to keep the chastity of what we've heard from Srila Prabhupada. We read from Srila Prabhupada's books every day, and we should simply repeat, and according to time, place, and circumstance, and audience. Doesn't mean the principles change, however. That's why Srila Prabhupada called his Bhagavad Gita as it is, Yatha Roop, as it is. As it has been given from Krishna to Arjuna, and Arjuna has accepted, I'm giving this Bhagavad Gita in this exact commentary. That's why after this Bhagavad Gita, there's now 800 plus temples of ISKCON. Because this Bhagavad Gita is so pure, and it gives exactly as Krishna is trying to give. Krishna says in the third verse, Sa evayam mayate adya yoga prakta pratana bhakto si me sakacheti rahasyam idam uttamam. I'm giving you this knowledge, Arjun, because you are my friend and my devotee. This most confidential knowledge. So that means only a devotee and a friend of Krishna can make a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. A devotee is he who is surrendered to Krishna, who is in the disciplic succession, who's been ordered from his spiritual master to make a commentary. But who is a friend of Krishna? A friend. You can't just ask someone. It's a great thing to do nowadays. You just want to comment on big talks and big discussions, and you feel big. Nadanam, najanam, nasundaram. Yes, danam, yes, sundarim, yes, janam. We have ulterior motives. But who is a real friend of Krishna? Krishna says, Na chatasman manusyeshu kashtin me priyakritama bhavita nacha me tasmat anya priyataro bhavi. In the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, by having this quality, you'll be most dear to me. By having this quality, you'll be most dear to me. If that's the right chapter. Having this quality, 10 verses of devotee qualities, 26 qualities. Then he says, Na chatasman manusyeshu kashtin me priyakritama. There is no one more dear, even if you have all those qualities, there's no one more dear to me than he who is preaching the message to my devotees. Ya idam paramam guhyam. Ya idam paramam guhyam. mat bhaktesha badishati bhakti mayam param kritva mam eveshasya samshayaha. He who is giving that knowledge that I've given in this Bhagavad Gita to the devotees, he is the most dearest to me. So exactly as Krishna has given to Arjuna Bhagavad Gita, as it is giving it to us. That's why ISKCON is so powerful, and ISKCON depends on us to keep that purity. Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajasyo vidhu sa kaleneha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. That means with time, even something as pure as Bhagavad Gita, what he's given to Arjuna, because of time, because of the power of Kal, it's gone, it's vanished. So as we were mentioning, there's 6 stages that time has. It gives birth, it gives growth, it allows you to stay, change, then it allows you to reproduce, deteriorate, and then die, leave. The same thing happened to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement in the beginning. And then 399 after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 400 years later, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur re-establishes that line because he gives as it is. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give it, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur presented it. So in Christianity, as I was mentioning, Srila Prabhupada was having a interview, and the interviewer asked him, what do you think about spirituality, Christianity? And Srila Prabhupada said, I think it's failed. And many Christians now to this day also understand or feel that way. That's because when Srila Prabhupada was having a discussion, and 400 AD is where really Christianity started to change. In the Roman Empire under Constantine, because of the favorability of the government, Bible was changed. There was Roman demigod worship paraphernalia being introduced into Christianity. In 534 AD, Byzantine emperor, he actually banished reincarnation from the Bible because the Christians were not taking their life seriously. So if he said, now you don't have another life, you have no more chances, you only have one life. And if you don't do good in this life, you are set to eternal damnation. Then they became serious out of fear. But the principle was lost, reincarnation. Reincarnation, the biggest principle, the most spiritual understanding of the soul, that the soul is transmigrating from one body to another, that's lost. If the basic principle is lost, then that spirituality fails. So, in the same way, we have to become devotees and friends of Krishna. Nacha tasman manasheshu kashtin me prekritama bhavita nacha me tasmad anya priyatarobu. There is no one more dear. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted us to preach Yare Deko Tareko Krishna Upadesh. And Srila Prabhupada has made a preaching movement specifically to fulfill Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. So who's more dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu than a person who fulfills his desire? And not only does he fulfill his desire, he gives us the opportunity to fulfill Mahaprabhu's desire. What a great opportunity we have. Conditioned souls going on the streets. When we do that, we're actually becoming what is called a friend of Krishna. Well, friend means, Srila Prabhupada once says, a friend means he or a person who gives you water when you need it, a glass. He comes with a glass of water and he gives it to you. You didn't ask, but he knows that you need it. That's a real friend. So similarly, Krishna is coming to this material world again and again. What does he need? What does he want? He wants the prisoners to come back to the prison, to the kingdom. Now, if a prisoner himself volunteers to take that responsibility, how dear will he become to the king? And what kind of facilities, what kind of attention will he get from the king? So our responsibility is to stay in ISKCON, to grow ISKCON, to give ISKCON to others. That's called gratitude. We have to be grateful for this opportunity we have been given to become dear associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We must become grateful and give it to others also. That's why ISKCON is so pure, so powerful, and it will last for 10,000 years because of this fact of the purity, and because Srila Prabhupada is giving exactly what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give. There's so many spiritual paths, but are they preaching like we are? Are they giving Bhagavad Gita? like Srila Prabhupada has given. Yes, it's very helpful. Some Bhagavad Gitas are written by devotees, some non-devotees. But Bhagavad Gita as it is even gives Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire in that same Bhagavad Gita. People say, no, it's not scholarly written. It's not written in detail. It's not written exactly as it was found in the Sanskrit. Srila Prabhupada changed it. But when a friend knows what the other friend needs, he is qualified to tell us exactly what that translation means. What Krishna actually wants to give. What is the deeper meaning of that translation? Only a friend or mother, a person who knows Krishna, only they can understand and they can reveal it to us. But if a scholar comes and just starts to translate the Sanskrit shlokas, they don't know who Krishna is. They don't even believe in Krishna. They don't respect Krishna. But we want to take their information. So I'll just end here. So thinking our application can be from this verse that we should remove our very minuscule ant-like opinions from our practice of Krishna consciousness. We have so many opinions on service. Of course, there are good opinions and opinions that will help us serve Krishna better. But opinions should be validated by your authority also. Opinions should be discussed with friends, Krishna consciousness friends. Opinions are good, but due to our pride of thinking that my opinion matters, we forget that Krishna's opinion is the most important. And what happens? Science takes over, and the world comes to the stage it is today, where technology runs the game. God doesn't even matter. Education has changed. So this is when people think that their opinions are more important. When the Dr. Frog thinks that his way of thinking is more important, then this happens in our society. Please, when we're on the streets, please hear who. Sometimes we're in a Sankirtan party and there's a very elevated devotee. Just stay with him for 5 minutes and catch that mood. Catch that mood. What is he trying to give, and use that. So please forgive me for any offenses. I'll end the class here. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Bol. If there's any questions, I'll try. Yes, Smart Prabhu. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the class. I just had a question about repeating the message of the parampara. So it's the system that, like you were saying, that the disciple repeats whatever the guru says. So I was just wondering, within ISKCON, obviously we have different gurus, and every guru have their slightly kind of own mood, their own style, their own opinions. So what's the duty of the disciple? Is it to stay chaste to our guru and repeat that message? But then how does that work within a larger society? Sorry, it's maybe a little bit difficult question.
Maybe?
I mean, sometimes the disciple can have a different mood from the guru, and the guru and disciple are both happy with that. So it's not necessary that you have to have the same mood as the guru. I want to hear other people answer this, but in one sense, it's nice to keep the mood of your guru and propagate it. It's also nice to look at the larger society and do something else, you know.
I mean, ultimately, to someone to be in a position of a guru means that he's empowered by the energy of Guru, energy of Balaram, basically, empowered by Guru Shakti. And that only is maintained and sustained and is with that particular person if he follows in the path of the Acharyas. So even the question, like, even Prabhupada said himself that even some of the Goswamis had certain different opinions and observations on certain topics, but yet the essence was maintained. So there may be different gurus in ISKCON emphasizing different things because they're different personalities, but just for the sake of they are still gurus means that they maintain the chastity to the teachings of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and to the Acharyas. So we need a bit of variety, otherwise everything will be Mayavad, you know. One big blob khichdi, so Hare Krishna.
Yeah, one point is that really nice points. I really appreciate that. One point is we shouldn't try and we should increase the glory of our spiritual master. That's the duty of the disciple, actually, to increase the reputation of his guru. But our eternal Siksha Guru is his Jagat Guru, Srila Prabhupada. And when we're preaching or we're repeating, we should stick chaste to those principles. Otherwise, if we try and just tell what our Guru has said, then it could become like Guru canvassing or Guru groupism. But actually, Guru is one. We learn from Bhagavatam, Guru is just one. Guru means Krishna. Guru is Krishna. Krishna gives Bhagavad Gita, gives Bhagavatam. So if we stay chaste to those things, and we give little details, maybe here and there, like eating chocolate, then according to time, place, and circumstance, but the principle remains the same. How is your consciousness when you're eating chocolate? Is it helpful for you? Just something to think about, I guess. Another thing we can we can bring to the discussion. Is that okay? Yeah. Yes.
Hare Krishna. I just wanted to ask one question about Christianity. This discussion of Christianity is like very interesting, and I am asking maybe your opinion. I know you're talking about opinions not being significant, but it's not like on the basis of Shastra necessarily. Like when we see Christian saints and they come, like I'm thinking of like Augustine and Saint Catherine and these like very elevated personalities, they cause a lot of controversy actually, because their vision is like very focused on God. Actually, they're kind of giving the essence in their writings of what the Bible is saying, what Christ was saying. So I guess my question is, let me look at my iPad. Sorry. I think maybe, yeah, do you think that these saints were so controversial because they were trying to really establish the essence, right? They're bringing the essence of the teaching.
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
They're very controversial because they're giving the essence. Like, I guess I'm answering my own question.
Oh yes, like Constantine, like Byzantine emperor in 530 AD. He wanted to make Christians more strict, so he banished the principles of reincarnation. But because of his good will to increase the strictness of the Christians, he removed the main principles. So yes, they may have good initiatives, they may have good intentions, but they have to keep the essence pure. No?
No,
That's not what you're asking.
So, okay, these saints that are coming are very controversial. In the wide society, they're introducing concepts that Christians at those times maybe are not so comfortable with. Do you think that it's controversial because they're giving the essence of the teachings? Like they're re-establishing? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know so much I don't understand the question maybe fully.
The truth is very disruptive and disturbing to the people. So I think I understand what you're saying is that if you actually speak the truth, it can really ruffle feathers, and it's kind of, that's probably why they were controversial, because they were speaking the truth, and that's the effect the truth had on people. And it kind of, it's true. I mean, even our acharyas say that when you speak the truth, it creates a sort of vortex where it's like you can't tell what's right and what's wrong, and it becomes very confusing. But they say this is the attack on Maya. So when you attack Maya, then things really start to bubble up. Mm. That's the way I look at it anyway.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Govinda Prabhu. Yes. Prabhu has a question here.
Hare Krishna. I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned Christianity, and just makes me think of something. You know how the Christians preached, trying to evangelize, the world, like imposing. Mm. Do you think that sometimes as devotees, when we preach, we have this tendency like to try and impose on people like our vision, and this is correct or not?
Yes.
How should we preach?
Yes, that sometimes happens, maybe. Yeah. So the question is that Christianity, some of the preachers that are in Christianity, some of the missionaries, they go and actually impose, they impose their opinions or the Bible on others, and they change. But they're basically using force and persuasion, and they're trying to actually convert and evangelize the country, the society. So sometimes as devotees, do we have this mood? Correct? Yeah. So even you can see sometimes that devotees have this. In the beginning, there's fanaticism. That we want to really give diamonds that we found in our Krishna consciousness. It can seem like that, but in the Bhagavad Gita, even Krishna gives the opportunity for Arjuna to make his own decision. Krishna says at the end of Bhagavad Gita, after all of these instructions I've given you, now you choose what to do. And then Arjuna says, Kadashe vachanam tava. So that's our mood. We're not, if there is some cases where we do try and impose, that's not the mood of our acharyas. That's not the mood of Krishna, actually. That's circumstantial, new devotee or immaturity may be there. But that's actually showing the compassion that they have also. But the way you give compassion shouldn't be forceful. Love should be accepted, not just forced upon. Yeah, take the water down your throat. I'm your best friend. That's not how you give love. So the way we give love on the streets is by giving people Krishna consciousness through friendships, through love. As we've been given the same love by Srila Prabhupada, we present that same pure compassion to others. That means there's a choice. Spirituality means freedom. Bhakti is individual. Love is not forced. Even Krishna says that. So when sometimes that does happen, it does create situations, even in ISKCON, where even some devotees get bad reputation, or some person on the street feels like they've just been harassed. But it's not our mood, basically. Does that help? Thank you. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaura Pramanande Hari Hari Bo. Anchakalpatarivashta kripa sindhu behivacha paditanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare